Sonics fans getting a spark of hope thanks to a mysterious meeting.
This is not fiscal responsibility. This is fiscal recklessness and mismanagement.
That's House Republican budget leader 𝗪𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗜𝗨 of Allen, who slammed his Democratic colleagues over relying on a contentious Millionaires Tax to balance the budget.
Back on February 3rd, I was down in Olympia. I was at a press conference for Governor 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗧, and I asked him a question about the impact the income tax on millionaires might have on free agency for the NFL and maybe one day, hopefully, the NBA.
The measure was approved by the Senate last week and still needs House and the governor's approval. And that's still before any court challenge on the constitutionality of it, given taxpayers have consistently voted against an income tax for decades.
There's some angst about the free agency and how this could impact free agency and good players from the Seattle, whether it's football or baseball, and kind of having a Dwayne Wade to Miami sort of situation where the team doesn't do as well and business suffers as a result. So how concerned are you about that, given there is history of players moving from less tax-friendly states to more tax-friendly states?
Couture also says he believes it will complicate any potential sale of the Seahawks, Mariners' future free agency, and a return of the NBA's Sonics.
Out of nowhere, a glimmer of hope, all based on this, the governor's calendar. It's mostly what you'd expect, meetings with caucuses, senators, judges, and the likes. But one event, set for Thursday at 11:15, stood out. A meeting with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver.
Most states have an income tax, and so football players still play in states where there is an income tax. But that said, I think what I would say is that from my standpoint, and I think this is true for all of us who are working on this, by the way, is that we're trying to be thoughtful about what's the amount and who's paying it. What are the impacts of that? I had a meeting yesterday with folks in the business community to talk about that. So we're certainly aware of that.
Many people, including myself, want the Sonics back, but we don't want to harm any kind of roadway or path that it takes to get those Sonics back. And stuff like this absolutely, does it stop it? We don't know, but it absolutely doesn't help.
And so we're going to just have to try and structure this in a way that makes the most sense, that is the most fair to address the challenges we're facing. And I'll check more into that as well.
Turns out his office was very aware of that potential concern. So you'll recall, so that was February 3rd. The very next day, there were headlines all over the place about Governor �𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗧 meeting with the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver,
who's spoken about an expansion to Seattle as recently as December.
We are looking at Seattle. We've looked at other markets as well. I'd say I want to be sensitive there about this notion that we're somehow teasing these markets, because I know we've been talking about it for a while.
So what's up with the meeting? Well, we reached out to the governor's office as well as people in multiple levels at sports and government to find out. Eventually, the governor's office got back to us. They told us this was an introductory meeting held at the governor's request. They say the pair had, quote, a good conversation and that the governor offered to be helpful.
So you know what happened? Governor �𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧's just going along, just having his normal day. Somebody says something about somebody, the commission to bring the Sonics to back to Seattle. And they say somehow some information gets out. You know what? This might not really, the whole Millionaires Tax might not really be in our favor here. Because when the NBA is looking at areas, geographic areas and markets more specifically, to give expansion teams, we know they're going to go to Nevada. Now, Nevada has a low tax environment, but now you're going to be putting an NBA team into an environment where it's like, if we don't go there and the players go there, they're going to be taxed less, easier to do business. Now, what you can say is, players they're playing in Los Angeles and you've got taxes there on pro sports. Okay. Yep. All right. You got an income tax, got some of the highest taxes in the United States. All right. But that's Los Angeles. Then you've also got New York. Same drill there. Massive, massive taxation. And they're willing to play there. But those are such bigger markets, arguably. That's what I would say. Seattle SuperSonics, it takes a lot of effort for teams to get to Seattle. So we're already marginalized by our location within the country. It just costs more to travel to get here. You know what I mean? And it's an expensive state to stay in. Now you're going to layer on some more taxes? Hey, we're reconsidering the Sonics. Oh, good Lord. We need to get on that. Yeah, Jimmy, can you get me a meeting with the commissioner? And then they've got this, Zoom meeting online. How can I be of help to you? It's numbnut type ideology like the millionaire tax or the statewide payroll tax that pushes out business and pro sports. You better believe that they are just a business. They are massive business. The Seahawks are going to be sold. The Trailblazers are going to be sold. That's part of Paul Allen's deal, right? Both those teams will be sold. Do you think both those teams get moved out? Portland doesn't deserve a team. They just flat don't. They've done everything they can to push out business. Now, Washington State, Seattle has been more accommodating. Seattle has had the remodeled Key Arena, which used to be the Seattle Coliseum, and they remodeled it into Climate Pledge Arena. Oh, we have a climate pledge. We're so green here in Seattle. We're so concerned about the environment that we allow homeless people to just discard their drugs, do some human trafficking, do some sex trafficking, live in their cardboard boxes and their tents down at the waterfront. Yeah, we really care about the environment, don't we? But Climate Pledge Arena, let's make it happen. Now, it's a great arena. It's a great arena. It's designed for those box seats for the NBA, right? Make it happen. I actually don't care because I'm moving to Oklahoma City. I'm going to go watch my Sonics in Oklahoma. I watched a game last Friday. It was epic. Thoughts from that was they do a prayer before each game. It's like all of a sudden things kind of slow down and go quiet. And I was standing in line for snacks, right? And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And they were praying, and I didn't realize they were praying. And then we go right into the national anthem. And then everybody does this number. And I'm looking around going, what is going on here? My hot dog is not coming out quickly because the guys at the counter are literally doing this. And they turn towards the flag would be inside of the arena. We're outside in Snackland, right? They stop like that. I mean, some real respect. They have a thing for veterans, current veterans, retired, if you got a grandma who's a veteran, they respect it all. Wildly, wildly different drill in Oklahoma City. And you've got parking was $10. Parking was $10. And we could literally lock up the car, walk to the street and see Paycom Arena. That's how close we were. So we weren't far away. And in Oklahoma City, Thunder fans are heavily weighted between 18 and 34. And a lot of those people have young kids, and that is their family event. And it is amazing to see how many kids are going to a pro sports team. You don't have that in Seattle because kids here, young, can't afford to have children and also go to professional sports teams. That's just not really a thing, right? It's so expensive. But in Oklahoma City, where your median housing price is $262,000, they go all day long. And it's amazing. You've literally got kids sitting around you asking a bunch of questions. Why did he do that? That's what kids do, right? So it's just this massively different environment in Oklahoma City versus Seattle. And you know what? If Washington State bungles the Sonics, it's what you get. It's what you get for bringing in these harebrained ideas. Hey, we can't control our spending here in Washington State, so let's just absolutely tax the F out of the constituents, and we'll hope for the best. Oh, geez, the NBA commissioner isn't pleased with our proposed millionaire tax. Let's get on the phone. Let's talk to him. Actually, it's no longer phone, right? It's Zoom. Proposed millionaire tax is headed for a public test Tuesday at the state. That's today. Our opponents plan a rally outside, and dozens of people have signed up to testify inside a House hearing room. The numbers on that were incredible. Anti-millionaire tax. Was it 100,000 or something like that? I mean, it was just nuts. Arguing the measure amounts to an unconstitutional income tax, which it does. But it is the way to get to piercing the constitutional law of Washington State, and then you go after regular people. Because you start off, you pitch it as, we're only going to tax millionaires. And that, that's just not true. You know, the tax on everybody's coming. It's just coming. I mean, that's not the main reason I'm leaving Washington State, but it's certainly one of them, right? You can kind of see where things are heading. And if you've been in Washington State long enough, you've seen when you look down left and you look down south, you've seen what happens in Oregon and you've seen what's happened in California, and it's coming for Washington. So, yeah, I'm going to go watch the Sonics in Oklahoma City. Don't care about what happens here in Seattle. Despite the looming legal questions, Democrat budget writers in both chambers have already built the tax into their supplemental budget proposals. All right. Even though it might be tied up in court for years, well, they've got enough time because you're talking about, I think, the 2029 budget. Crazy. Senator June Robinson, a Democrat from Everett, who chairs the Senate Ways and Means Committee, said critics should point to specific cuts. They want lawmakers to abandon the idea. I always challenge them to give me specific things to reduce in the budget. How about money for suing Trump? How about money to the criminal illegals? What about money to the Somali daycare fraud? You know that's going on in Seattle because the mayor of Seattle said, "Oh, we're not going to investigate anything. We're not doing that." House Republican Budget Chair Travis Couture of Allen, we saw him speak, said budgeting around an untested tax could force lawmakers to start over if the policy fails. This policy will fail. This policy will fail. But that's what it's about. It's about laying the groundwork for going after a state income tax, because 40 years of Democrat rule have resulted in an unprecedented spending spree in Washington state history, and you're going to need to tax the millionaires, meaning you make over $1 million, you make $1.1 million, you're going to be taxed 9.99% on that extra $100,000, right? You make $2 million, you're going to be taxed 9.99% on that extra $1 million. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And you know what it does? Just pushes out wealthy people. Oh, yeah, I don't want to pay that. I'm going to go to Nevada. I'm going to go to Tennessee. I'm going to go to Oklahoma City. That won't happen. I'm going to go to Texas. I'm going to go to Idaho. I'm going to go to, wherever has less taxation. Not Oregon, not California. West Coast, Best Coast is absolutely hosed. If the income tax for some reason doesn't come to fruition, then we have to start this budget process all over. Okay? Yeah, that sounds perfect, right? Couture argued the proposal almost solely hinges our entire future on an unconstitutional, legally untested income tax. That's such a Washington state thing to do. Let's lay it all on the line for something that's unproven and would arguably decimate our economy from the standpoint of millionaires. They've got as much money. Are people making $1 million a year? Are they going to want to stick around? I've got my residency elsewhere. Gotta go. And said it wouldn't provide what he described as meaningful tax relief for most residents. None of this stuff will. Here's the pitch. Millionaires Tax aimed at helping working families. Here's the deal. None of these taxes will make your life more affordable because you can't. It's ingrained into all the policy in a state like Washington. It's ingrained to Oregon. It's ingrained to California. You know where it's not ingrained? Oklahoma. But then you got to deal with the weather, and you got to deal with a different submarket. There's always trade-offs, right? There's always trade-offs in life. My parents already lived there, so for me, it's like, well, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. But for other people who, are basically making money decisions, it's these kind of taxes that literally push people out of New York City, pushing them out right now, pushing them out of California, pushing them to Texas, pushing them to Florida, because those are super pro-business, pro-anti-tax, anti-government. But getting back to the affordability factor, what are you going to do? What's Washington State going to do? What's Seattle going to do? What is King County going to do? Are they going to eliminate all these layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of built-out governmental nonsense and policy? No, they can't. because all that stuff creates income for all these social welfare programs that are completely unnecessary. But they think it's what holds the economy together. It doesn't. It makes people more dependent. But that's what they believe. So for those of us who are like, yeah, I don't really believe that. There are other states that don't spend all their money on ridiculous nonsense like feeding, clothing, housing the criminal illegals, sanctuary states. They're not paying for it. People in states like mine that are sanctuary states are. We're paying for it with our tax dollars. I say no. I say no go to that. I say whatever on the Sonics. You know, I've talked about this before. I had season tickets or a part of a package of season tickets for a lot of the years when Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp played. Some phenomenal basketball. You had to be watching the court the whole time because all of a sudden, Shawn Kemp would sprint out of the backcourt and just, 3 long steps and just rock the whole backboard and rim. It came out of nowhere. And that's when he was in his, mid-20s, and he was just probably the most phenomenal dunker in the NBA at the time. And arguably since. There's other guys, right? There's always other guys. Yeah, those were good times. Those were great times. And to watch the Sonics go to Oklahoma City, it was like, what? We're doing what? And it's because the people of Seattle wouldn't pony up money. They'd already ponied up money for the Seahawks. They'd already ponied up money for the Mariners. Seattle, basketball was a no-go. And we just went, bye-bye, Sonics, bye-bye. See you off to Oklahoma City. I mean, it's just, it's a standard libtard move. No, we're not paying for that. All right. And your team leaves. Oh, but we want our team. You can't have it both ways. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. Other states and cities have income and jock taxes. California has the highest income tax in the country at 13.3, and jock taxes as well. Big uproar over the Super Bowl, right? You're getting $100 and something grand for winning the Super Bowl, and it all goes to taxes to California. That's great. Yet the Los Angeles Dodgers continue to sign free agents, and privately financed stadiums have been built by the LA Rams, Golden State Warriors. The thing I would say about that is those population bases are massive. Washington, Seattle are not. New York sports teams also continue to be a top destination for free agents. That's great. We have a tiny, tiny fraction of their population, their ability to absorb costs relative to a sports franchise. Plus, the Sonics, we won the 79 World Championship. We played against Jordan and crew in 95 was that? Something like that. My son Brennan was born that year. Kieran was like 2.5. Those were great times. They were great times. But Sonics beyond that don't have this storied history of, a New York sports team. New York Knicks don't have that, right? We don't have that long super history. So we're at jeopardy here. We are at jeopardy here, getting the NBA to give us a team. They've been dicking around with it forever. They're going to give one to Nevada. It's going to be the Nevada something minors, or I don't even know. What do you name Nevada? What's that one going to be called? I don't even know. Governor Bob Ferguson recently met virtually with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. Conversation both later described as positive. You know what I mean? No Seattle area franchise has publicly weighed in on the proposed tax. That's a shocker. That's a big, big fat shock. Mum's the word. Let's just not say anything. Let's hope that this millionaire tax just gets, kaput. And I think it will. However, they're just laying the groundwork for a future tax. Those taxes are coming. Those taxes are coming. And if I were the NBA and I had the option to send the startup team to somebody else, maybe you take this factor into consideration. The fact that this meeting was held on such lickety-split terms kind of tells you everything. Something happened somewhere in the chain of information, and Bob Ferguson's like, hey, we need to get a meeting. Let's get a meeting on the books right now. I want to talk to the commissioner about, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Everything's going to be good. We're here to help. How can I help you? Help me, help you, help the fans, help all that nonsense. Crazy stuff. It's what we're dealing with. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.